Welcome to this episode of Sunny's Silver Linings. Sunny's guest today is Matt Rose. Matt is the Director of Technology Services at TechRage IT. With 2 decades in the IT industry, Matt understands the importance of hiring the right people for your business and walks us through the process, including which skills are the most important to look for and how to make your company more people-centric. And now, your host, the founder and CEO of IT by Design, Mr. Sunny Kayla. Over to you, Sunny.
Matt, thank you so much for joining me today as my podcast guest, and I truly appreciate your time.
Thank you for having me. Really looking forward to it.
Yeah, and I really enjoyed spending time with you during Build It. Matt, first of all, thank you for your partnership. Thank you for coming there. It was great to see you and your team member at Build It and have those conversations. And it was our first time in person meeting, but I truly enjoyed you.
Yeah, I thought it was great too. I mean, it was nice to, first off, just get out to an actual conference, but to meet you and meet your team. And it was just an awesome experience all around.
Yeah, so I want to start with your book. I know you wrote a new book, Matt, and the book is called Kiss Tech Rage Goodbye. And tell us a little bit about the book. And yeah, let's start there.
Sure. So we wrote a book, and we kind of decided, it was last summer, and we were trying to think, kind of where we had trouble with prospects or even current clients of kind of getting messages across.
Yeah.
And the idea of a white paper didn't make a whole lot of sense because nobody reads that; they throw it in the garbage. And so we decided to write a book based upon stories and times I've had in meeting with prospects, people who are still prospects, people who have become clients, or even current clients, and coming up with we came up with 8 myths that they make in an IT buying process or IT decision-making process. From the very obvious one that everyone's dealt with of they don't want to spend any money on it, which is, I think every IT company's dealt with that more times than they like, to, they want to have in-house IT. Why should they outsource? They want to control what products you use, and obviously security being one of them as well. And we just kind of put it in a short story, easy readable format. So it wasn't just kind of us telling somebody what to do. They could read it on their own. They could see where it made sense after they're in the process of reading it. And hopefully, even if they didn't go through services through us, they would understand our industry better and understand the importance of technology in their business.
That's awesome. So this book is for the small business owner, or who this book is for?
So the book is really meant for, a small business owner. The CEOs of a small business definitely can relate to it. COOs or CFOs, whoever's kind of the IT decision maker in a small business, it's great for them. And even when you get into a slightly larger company, 100 or 200 people where they got that IT manager, I think it could be helpful there too, because it's not just for the businesses who fully outsource IT. Mm-hmm. I think there's some nuggets in there that even they would get. So, but at the end of the day, I also have some obviously friends in the MSP community who've read the book and think it, they've used it even to talk to their prospects about. So I think it not as useful for the MSP community, but definitely for those business owners, COOs, CFOs, and possibly IT directors.
Got it. So people where they're responsible for IT partner, a strategic trusted advisor selection process, where they go out and find IT partners for their business, those individuals can benefit from this.
Yeah, absolutely. And the stories typically hit on the 8 different myths we've talked about. They probably relate to one, if not more of them, of the stories.
Yeah, no, I mean it's pain that comes from misaligned partnership. When a small business gets misaligned with their technology solution provider, is huge. So I know it's going to eliminate a lot of that pain and also give a perspective to other MSP peers about that buyer's persona or buyer's mindset. So we appreciate you adding value not only to the small business and also the channel, because as you know, we have seen it at Build It. We are all about educating this channel or creating value for entrepreneurs where they are in this IT solution MSP business, and we are all about education. I want to move into your origin story, Matt. So TechRage IT, you are the co-founder and you are the director of technology. And I remember from our conversation during Build It and even before we started this recording, that one of your friend came to you and is like, I know one guy IT guy that you can talk to and understand, right? I know it's a common thing to see that a lot of technology experts where they know technology, but in order for them to simplify it for a non-technical person, it's always a challenge. So talk to us a little bit about your origin.
So the origin, and that same person she's still a good friend of ours. She used to make that comment. My last actual full-time job working for somebody else. I was an IT director. She was an HR director, and she found that respect for me because I wasn't your typical IT person who go ahead and reboot it, and throw acronyms and jargon at her. Yeah. We would just get the problem fixed and apologize and be polite about understanding the frustration. And the funny thing is, she was a huge part in us even deciding to start the company. I was working at this job. She had actually just put in her notice to start her own consulting business. Mm-hmm. And soon after, I had an opportunity to do some consulting because I was at a point in my life, just had our first child. And I was kind of like, just didn't feel like I was doing enough. I was kind of like, what am I doing? I'm going to work every day, getting a paycheck, not really, I'm not helping anybody. It was a really odd situation. And got an opportunity to do some consulting from a gentleman I've known for a long time. And when I went to this HR person, it's because she had just put her notice in. I said, well, I guess I can talk to you about this. And she said, run and do it. And so for a few years, I did global 2,000 company consulting. It was funny enough, I was going up to New York City about once a month. Wow. And I was kind of being a remote outsourced IT director for a larger company. And it was awesome. I enjoyed it, realized the entrepreneur thing was totally my deal. People told me you either loved it or hated it. But at one point we said, boy, we've got like one really large client. If something happens here, it's not going to be good. And luckily, that last company was a venture capital company I worked for. So I'd already kind of understood the MSP world without realizing I was in the MSP world. We were supporting 13 different companies, 13 different Microsoft tenants, all this fun stuff. And so we started to make the shift to MSP. That same woman, that same friend of ours, has been a champion of us since day one. And that's kind of been a way we've pushed towards the MSP community as being kind of different than your typical IT guy or IT guys or girls.
Yeah. And one another thing, again, this is the power of in-person conferences. Mm-hmm. And when you get to meet people in person and you share a drink, a meal, and you get to really learn about the other person. And one thing that I learned was you are very people-centric like we are. So we have that shared core value. And you will always talk about we are in the people business, right? So can you talk to me a little bit about, what do you mean by that, right? So in your world, what does it mean?
So what it means is, and again, it goes back to the way that I always was when I was just doing IT from when I was younger, is, we can have all the tools in the world and we can be the best technical person and be able to build a server and deploy a network in no time. But if you don't make the people happy, you're not going to have a job or a client very long. And so over the years, when it was just myself and my partner, and then as we grew to team members, we always put in there that we wanted to help and get problems fixed and not speak down to people because, we call it tech rage, but with frustration people have when their computers and their systems aren't working it's real. Yeah. We always talk tech rage is kind of like if you've seen the movie Office Space and the scene where they go out in a field with the printers and take bats to them. That's how people feel. And there's some really interesting stats in the book of like how many people have like thrown a piece of equipment out the window or yelled at an inanimate computer object. Is you don't realize like people do that. It's an actual stat. And if
I
you,
have seen that, Matt.
yeah,
In the beginning, we were right next to Bloomingdale, 57 and 3rd. That's where our office was, and we were surrounded by a lot of hedge funds in that area and Wall Street. And I used to be the tech person as well, and I used to go on site to help traders. I have seen people taking their desk phone and start throwing against the wall when they were so frustrated with something being down or something, especially with the trading in the trading,
oh,
all you lose millions, and when you see
mhm.
that, and the tolerance level to downtime, tolerance level to any kind of technology not working. And I totally agree with you that I have seen it personally
Mhm.
where people started throwing their IT equipment outside of their office or against the wall.
Yep. Yeah. We've probably all seen it if we've been in this industry long enough. And it's crazy. And I think one thing, again, I like to be and have my team be the IT guys you can actually talk to and understand. But how many times do I think it was even like Saturday Night Live had like a skit with a guy that was like the IT guy. And he was kind of this like monotone, did you reboot it? And that's your typical. And if they may be better technically, but if you can be better people and you can understand and I mean, how many speakers did you guys have at IT at Build It that talk about communication? And if you can communicate better and show actual empathy, you win points, even if you actually take longer to fix the problem, which you probably won't. To be fair, sometimes just that level head actually helps you too. So I want our techs to understand that. Don't get me wrong, we all get frustrated. There's those users who you're like, oh my God, but get off the phone and go take a walk around the hall to get your frustration out. Treat them like they're the greatest, and that's where we really go, and that's what we mean by the people centric. And really, even in the company, even to each other, we want people to behave very professionally and be friends.
Yeah, no, people centric is so critical. And my father, Matt, he taught me one thing very early on, that earn people to earn money. Earning people is going to be much more difficult in life than earning.
Mhm.
But if you earn people, you are good at it, money is going to follow you. And that
Yeah.
is so true. And even in my keynote at Build It, I said, your product is not tech, your product is people. And with
Mhm.
from the context that you're sharing here, that is not only internal people, which I was talking about, like internal team is your product. Basically, they are the experts they are creating these solutions and creating value for your customer. If you take care of them, they're going to take care of
Mhm.
customer. But on both
Mhm.
sides, you're talking about people. Internal
Yep.
and external is people. So if technology professionals and MSP leaders and owners, they get good in terms of people skills that are life skills, then you can really be good at your business, where the business is all about creating solutions for people. People are creating solutions for people, and I'm totally in alignment that if we can be people centric, our businesses can grow beyond our imagination. And let's get
Yeah.
into the second piece as well. And you please feel free to add anything that you want
Sure.
to add to the people centric side. But the second piece that you always talk about is, if it is people centric, and it starts with hiring, because hiring process ensures who you bring into your family. So can you talk to us a little bit about, what do you mean by everything starts with hiring process?
So, I mean, in hiring right now it's difficult. More the difficult it's ever been. And, it's probably where we've spent a ton of time, especially for a company of our size over the past year or so. Because when we made our first hire years ago, it was like, all right, we need a warm body to do a job. And it worked out for a time being, but it wasn't a cultural fit. And then, of course, everybody makes bad hires. We've made our bad hires, but with the amount of time and money wasted, and potentially what happens to your team you existingly have when you bring in somebody that's not the same player, caused us to internally really try to look at that hiring process, to the point where it's still very difficult in this day and age, but we want people to actually show interest in the job. It's not just, you throw a job in Indeed, you can get hundreds of resumes. We want to have them show something more, whether it's that they send us an email or whether they're doing a video message beforehand. And then in the interviews, I'm not so much going to pound on their technical. I'm going to hear how they respond. I'm going to hear, we do video interviews first, in this world especially. Mm-hmm. And I want to see what their reactions are. I've gone through people where they're leaning in, they're excited. They may get a question I wanted them to answer a little differently if it's technical position. Or I've had people where I'll ask a question and they're like, and they sigh before they answer, and it's like, it's hard. And I think of that in the sense of, if they're on the phone with an end user who's calling and saying, "Hey, Outlook crashed," all right, and just think of that, what you would be if you're calling into somebody. If you call in to a credit card company, anything, and they give you that attitude, you're immediately turned off. And we look for those hints. We do personality tests. I know a lot of people do. And we really want to know they can do the tech, but we want to see that they have a great personality. They have customer service. They have those unteachable people skills first.
Absolutely. That's so critical. And thank you for sharing that. So what I'm hearing, Matt, you say is that you focus more on attitude, personality, overall people skills, and people where they look at a problem and they are like, okay, this is an opportunity for us to solve, right? Where they have the positive mindset towards that customer who is coming to you with a problem. So that is so critical and so important, because you can teach technical skills and it's hard to teach what do you kind of really, how you are wired, right? That's hard to change. And thank you for sharing that. So is there anything else that you value? So that is a great point in terms of soft skills. Is there anything in specific when you're talking about, especially engineers hiring, when the talent is not available that much? And I know, when in this type of very tight job market, it's very tough to be, that excellent candidate that we always wish for. So is there anything that you really, it's like non-negotiable list?
So we really like to look for, somewhat of a relevant experience, but we also, we look at it and say, we're serving small businesses. Most, in small business, that definition changes for everybody, but even let's go to a few hundred employees, and so it's tough. I've seen it where people come from, these, humongous companies, and they have to realize in a company like ours, or even a small business, you're the jack of all trades. You're one, I always like to say you're doing 500 tasks each one time a day. Whereas if you work with some of the larger companies, you might do one task 500 times a day. And so just looking for that, and we even ask some questions to try to get them to think on their feet. It's, those are, they're not necessarily skills. I mean, we're not so much all the reading and all the stuff. We don't necessarily look for this education, a specific certification day one, because they can learn that, because the technical can all be learned. It's sometimes just seeing the professionalism that's on a paper. Sometimes it's hard to see, but again, that feel and just their experience needs to at least somewhat be in line. And sometimes that just means understanding that this is a fast-paced environment. It's, there's no, and it's not going to change anytime soon.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, that is so critical, Matt. And I have seen there's really good people, good, culturally even aligned, core values, right? These are good people. And when they come from a very large environment where there is a lot of room to hide, and a lot of other structures and other functions, you are just kind of in one swim lane. and you are not trained on multiple technologies, and you are not trained on that concept of like overall problem solving in a way that not everything is available to you as a subject matter expert. You got to figure it out, right? You need to have that grit to figure it out. And I have personally failed so many times. I was very, very excited about that person, that, oh man, this guy is going to really be amazing, because he has this very mature operation, like could be Citibank here right next to us in New York City, a lot of financial firms, that this guy has done the compliance, risk management, he has technology background, he has everything. And when they come to a business like us, MSP business, and then you got to be wearing multiple hats. You're dealing with small businesses where their operational maturity level is very different than a Citibank infrastructure or environment. And it's not that they don't want to, or they're not committed to really do things that they need to do for their small business. It's just now this environment is very hard for them to adapt. And I totally, I'm in alignment in a way that that it's important for hiring managers to pay attention to that piece and go deeper into that conversation when they're hiring. That if someone is coming from a very like Fortune 1000 or Fortune 5000 company, that is their mindset built, and they know what good looks like, what the reality of a small business is, and that is serving other small businesses. Is a totally different environment. So great point there, that it's important to be successful with the new hire. And okay, so let's talk about your, like, another I think it's in alignment with that hiring process when you say, I appreciate and value soft skills more than technology skills. So what do you mean by technical skills versus soft skills, and the importance of soft skills over tech skills?
So I think the biggest thing I can look at is like somebody that after we talk to them and we or our person who will kind of do a screener says, okay, we're going to send you a link to schedule time with Matt for a 30-minute, and please, get this done, and they schedule it, and it's just, okay, great, schedule. There's a huge difference between that simple thing. And I remember doing when I applied for jobs of that, thank you so much for your time, I'm looking forward to this. And we get like an email just as a thank you, or the people that are just overly communicating. I love seeing that from day one, because that shows, because in our world, again, even if you go to like tickets, if we're trying to troubleshoot something and we got to go back to the vendor and whatever, it might take a week if it's not an urgent problem. And I don't want to just go, we're going to talk to you in a week. It's, hey, just wanted to let you know, we're still waiting on a response. Let us know if anything changes. And so if you see that over communication from day one, it should just go right into their job. It just, the ability to talk comfortably. Unfortunately, it's another kind of, call it a stereotype, but there's a lot of IT people who are very shy, and I want to see in a video call that they're comfortable. I want to see that they sound their voice is, inflecting well, because again, they're going to have to be on the phone with people, and they're going to get once in a while you get that angry user, and you've got to not get timid. You got to be confident in yourself. They need to call people back. They can't be afraid of the phone. Sounds like I'm talking like a salesperson now, but still, there's all these things where I need to see that they seem to have a confidence in themselves, but with the communication, communication, confidence, even saying things like one of our core values is get it done. You're never going to say it's not my job.
Yeah.
I want to hear a story that says that, hey, tell me about a tough time at your job kind of thing. And they told me that, they were up here, they were level 3, but they jumped in to, get a problem solved. That's awesome. Teamwork, these things can't necessarily be solved. I mean, even look at the major sports teams. There's people who weren't successful because they're not good teammates. They're fantastic at their skill. It's kind of the same thing. You have all the tech talent in the world. If you can't do those soft skills, you won't be successful, or at least not successful here.
Yeah. No, I have experienced that struggle. And we like especially your help desk, your business help desk, or your knock, when they're working on tickets, right, and they are not following up and following through with the customer, no matter how skilled they are, customer satisfaction, they will not be able to achieve what they want to achieve just because the customer is in dark. No one likes to be in dark. I don't want to be in dark. I'm okay with someone not solving my problem, but I'm not okay with someone keeping me in dark. I'm okay with someone here, I'm okay with hearing that, hey, Sunny, it's going to be delayed, or we're waiting on parts, or we're waiting on this, or this, we're on, we got this, but here is the status. That makes me lot more happier than someone who is really, really technical, who is really a good problem solver, but keeping me in dark because I just don't know what I don't know. Then my mind starts telling me stories that I want, that's what human beings are good at. We want to start kind of applying our filters that this is probably this person is doing or what they're doing.
Yeah.
So our mind, when it tells us those stories because we are in dark, it's not a good situation to be in, no matter how talented that project manager or ticket solving engineer is. So you made a great point with communication, that are you able to communicate well through tickets, through phone, being able to listen, being able to talk to the customer effectively. And really, I mean, that's key, right? That skill is a lot more important than technical skills, because technical skills are easy to, and they keep changing.
Yeah.
Communication skill, like once you understand it, once you understand the value, once you get good at it, it's going to stay. Technologies change almost every day now. You buy something and go to the parking lots and things change. And so that is where the ability to learn quickly comes in, but technology skills are much easier, to your point, than soft. Soft. Yeah, and so three key my takeaways, Matt, from this conversation is of course, being people centric and being able to simplify their IT for their customer, where people are like, they're not talking to just an IT person where they're using all these buzzwords and they don't understand it. So you are able to focus on people, that customer, and looking at things from that non-technical customer lens, and even internally having your people. So being people centric as a leader, as a business owner, as a team member. And then the second piece, it starts with the hiring process. So making sure that we value the attitude and that overall life skills, people skills, more than technology skills. And one quote that I remember, which I shared during my Build It speech as well, Matt, that Henry Ford, he was a people-centric leader. And he said, you can take my factories, burn up my buildings, but give me my people, and I will build the business right back again. And that is the power of people. And so we appreciate you sharing your business approach, your philosophy, and also your book, which is helping small businesses pick the right technology solution providers, and also MSP owners, where they can understand that customer's mindset, that persona that they are serving, so that they are more successful in closing business. And thank you so much for coming to my podcast and sharing your wisdom, your very valuable insights, and experience of an entrepreneur. We appreciate that.
And I've been excited for this since the invite came. It's been a while, but I've been excited to join you. So thank you for having me. I really do.
Yeah, thank you, Matt.
If you enjoyed this episode of Sunny's Silver Linings, please like, follow, and subscribe to our channel so you don't miss out on any future episodes. We'll see you next week.